begin by clearing our sacred space. I'm beginning with Gossel. Now beginning Shoshi. Sensation Doitsu. Allowing excellent. The text that I'm using is going to be Reiki for Life. I think the Penelope Quest does an excellent job in discussing the Reiki practice for levels 1, 2, and 3. And she does focus quite a bit on the traditional Usui in there, and also discuss some of the other Reiki modalities that are taught and are available. But it's a really good book, and it's the book that we are using. And I wanted to cover the hand placements again. I want to focus on the upper layers here, the upper part of the body. Now, in Reiki for Life, she does start things a little bit differently. than what we may have learned in class or what other practitioners may use. And when she is starting the Reiki and does the self healing routine, it starts with the hands in the back. Then moves to the front, the ears or over the ears, the throat, the heart, solar plexus, right below the breast area, sacral, the navel area, and then the pelvic area, which would be symbolic of the root going all the way down to the toes. Now, what I wanted to start with here in the Reiki manual is that she discusses the symbolism. And if you have the book, it's on page 102. And it is in a relation to how our body works with us in the mind and the emotion, the body, mind, and emotions, and the spirit. So when we're starting from the back of the head, we are beginning with what we would call the pituitary area. And what we're also looking at is the endocrine system, the pineal glands, and that visual cortex. So, even though vision is here, it's processed back through here. And when we are looking at things in a more spiritual or emotional, the way that we think, what's here, we're looking at how we are working with our mind, the way that our attitudes are formed, how we process, how we understand in our heads, our world around us, as well as our own inner world. The brows and the eye, when you're coming over here on the front, what we're looking at in here is part of that nervous system, again, the endocrine, and then the frontal or the anterior aspect of what we would have is for our pineal glands and pituitary. The pituitary, the pineal gland, as if we went back through here, down through the crown, in through the third eye, we would connect in with that pineal gland, and the pituitary gland is back in that area, back behind that. So when we're looking at our hand placements, we are doing a big push of energy in all aspects to the areas of the pituitary gland and the pineal gland. And the pituitary gland is the master gland. It runs everything that's happening in the body. The pineal gland, its main purpose is to secrete and produce and secrete like melatonin, melanin, and part of your serotonins, as well as some other very important endocrine secretions through there. But those are your main major ones. And that when it's producing that serotonin, that's like our mood stabilizer. It's what helps us to see things in a reality. So we're doing a lot of work boosting up that pituitary and pineal gland in order for the body to work. So when you're thinking about when Master Usui first started doing Reiki, and he was primarily with this throat and heart, that Usui Five, he was working in those areas in order to treat these major organs and glands, as well as work with the mind and the spirit and how we perceive that world around us. Your perspective of the world when we're working in this brow area is really fine tuned, and in the way that we discern and process that information continues to go into a deeper fine tuning. And that's why it's really important to address that Usui Five. When we're talking about the head plays a big role in the way that our body reacts to the world around us and what's going on in the inside. When we're working in the ears and temples, we're also continuing giving that support, but also we're bringing in support into like physical support of the body, into the nasals, the sinus, the ears. So the way that our senses are receiving information, and such as the way something smells, or even like temperature management are in through there. And one thing that I think is really interesting about the um, ear area, when we're thinking in the the metaphorics of it, we're thinking about the way that we hear and we listen and the messages that we receive. So it heightens the way that we can hear things. I mean, I'm not talking like bionic woman hearing. I'm talking more along the lines of our ability to listen and process what we are hearing. Sometimes, as human beings, what do? We shut off our hearing, and we just don't want to hear anything that's being said at all. So sometimes this can be affected. So, and the way that we interact and communicate with people. So when we are fine tuning these areas, 1, 2, 3. When we're starting into the throat area, this position is going to be treating like the neck issues, throat, tonsils, adenoids, vocal cords, teeth, gums, sinuses, ears, thyroid, parathyroid. And, thyroid, parathyroid has to do a lot with growth as well, and our lack of growth. And so when we're focusing that energy in through here, we're thinking about the physiological parts of it, but also in the metaphoric parts. Sometimes we're thinking about the way that we communicate, and communication and expression is really heavily focused and originates from here. When we think about the throat center, or if we're going to go chakra here for a moment, the throat chakra is from that throat area going down the shoulders all the way to the tips of the fingers. So not only is it what we speak, but it's what we create with our hands or express with our hands. So think about a piano player or an artist. Okay, their throat center becomes blocked or stagnant in energy, they're not going to be able to produce or create. So I often will just made me think about people with a writer's block. Or maybe they're trying to write a book or write something, create something, and they're having difficulties getting it started. Working that throat center would be an important resolution to that issue in order to get your chi or ki flowing through there. And then in the chest area, which is the last part of that Usui Five, what we're looking at in here, we have the thymus as the gland, and we have the heart. And we know the heart is that organ that is going to be pumping blood to feed the entire body. So that chest area is pretty ding dang important. We're also looking at the lymphatic system, as we have a lot of different lymph nodes up through here, and that thymus gland, and this allows all of that Reiki to be flowing into those extremities, those upper extremities. When we have a lot of problems in the chest area, we're usually talking about relationship issues, suppressed emotions, feeling smothered, controlled, trust issue, a lack of independence, and an unexpressed grief. So it's like blood pressure being an issue here. What we could kind of think of blood pressure in as a measurement of how much stress, emotional or spiritual stress somebody could be going through in that, or and I was just thinking about suppressed emotions. You keep holding them back and holding them back and holding them back, and that blood pressure starts to rise, and then at some point it's either got to blow or we've worked on resolving it and bringing it down. Um, I want to think, kind of like put in a little bit of thought process here. So let's talk about that high blood pressure again. And people we'll go to the physician, and the physician will give us some blood pressure medication. And maybe that blood pressure medication works for a while. And then after a while, your blood pressure starts going back up again. And you need a second, or maybe a second and a third blood pressure medication in order to regulate that. This is where Reiki would step in. So if you're doing self Reiki, you would be focusing a lot of Reiki on your chest area, because A, you want to regulate the way that the heart responds, body, mind, and spirit. And you want to work on releasing that unexpressed grief or those suppressed emotions. You want to work on opening up that energy channel and allowing it to flow. So when you're working in that throat to heart area, there's a little metaphoric bridge in between. And I like to also focus on that bridge. So it's not just the throat and the heart. A lot of times I'm going in that whole area here because I want to focus on bringing those two together to where we take those emotions and bring them up and then expressing them either through something that you create or verbalizing them and working through them in order to find that resolution and bring balance back into the system. So on that Usui Five, we're starting with, remember, our hands to the back of the head, and this is per Pamela Quest's book. And we're thinking about how our concepts, our attitudes, the way that we think, how do they affect our life? And are they in harmony with what we expect for our spiritual progress? And then over here on the brow, it is our perspective on the world and what we allow ourselves to see and what we are facing up to or what we're avoiding. The ears and temples, and what are you willing to or unwilling to hear, whether you listen to your inner guidance or sometimes you argue with your inner guidance. Either way, we're working on balancing that. And then here, where we can start being truthful and our authentic self, our honest self, our true self, not that part that we wear like a mask to make everybody happy, but where we start living our own happiness and living who we really are inside and out. And then again, that chest area, and this is where we are healing our relationship issues, that we're releasing suppressed emotions, that we are becoming unbonded, like out of bondage, released from feeling smothered or controlled, micromanaged. That it also helps us to build up our trust, not only in others, but ourselves. And it allows us to work to express our grief, that our hearts, not only the physical heart, but the metaphoric heart, may heal. Back of the head, the brow, the Usui Five. It allows us to reach in, initiate the flow of Reiki, and to begin that healing process on ourselves. Our aura has 7 different layers, and the one that's closest into our physical self is most dense, and that is what we appreciate as in the physical self. We have the etheric layers, and I like to think of it as that line that defines us. And then we have the external layers that come out. And each part of our self, of our soul, has a distinct layer coming out. In Reiki, we're looking at the most dense and what I would call maybe our yesterdays, a whiles, and then going out into our past lives and our astral self. The more you work with Reiki, the more you can appreciate or acknowledge people's auras or their energy fields. Some people will see them. Some people will see them in with color. Other people will see them as in light or dark. Others might only feel them, as in when somebody walks into a room, that there is a shift in the energy. When we're working with Reiki, even though we have hands on, or we can float with the hands above, we'll still be working within those energetic layers of the aura. We may have an issue in the current dense self that is triggered by an energetic issue in another layer of our aura. And when we're working with Reiki, we can clear all of that energetic garbage or obstacles when we're doing our Reiki. And just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I am grateful. Just for today, I am honest. And just for today, I am kind. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will be honest. And just for today, I will be kind. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will be grateful. And just for today, I will be honest. Just for today, I will be kind. If you have any questions about today's lesson, please drop us a comment and we will be happy to answer them for you. Thank you.